Hello and welcome to the Comeback Mechanics December 2024 Gym Leader Challenge Tournament. My name is Cody Hope, casting for you this finals match between Steve Zhao on Psychic and an item lock grass deck from Matthew Minsberg, who we know as Matty Mims. The Comeback Mechanics are a competitive team located in Dallas, Texas, and the first Tuesday of every month, we hold a free Gym Leader Challenge tournament at Boardwalk Games in Carrollton. Talking a little bit more about the decks here, Steve is on the left, and he's playing a Psychic deck that utilizes Tinkaton as well as other powerful draw Pokemon like Cleffa and Gallade. He has competed in this tournament just one other time, and he did take first place that tournament, so he's hoping to keep his undefeated streak alive. And Matty, he's on the right, and he's playing a fairly standard grass deck, but this one features quite a few item locking cards, including the Vileplume from Ancient Origins, which has the irritating pollen ability that prevents both players from playing items. Matty is chasing his first win of the tournament. Steve has opened on the Mew, and this is the Mew with the bench barrier ability that prevents damage done to your benched Pokemon. Fortunately for Matty here, he doesn't play any Pokemon that attack the bench, and so this Pokemon, kind of a bit of a nothing burger, sitting in the active spot. We do see that Steve is going to use that Matty map, taking a peek at those prize cards. That is a house rule that we have here with the Comeback Mechanics, where first time you search your deck, you're welcome to take a peek at those prize cards. Just helps kind of speed up the game just a little bit. And we see the Cleffa is getting eyed up here off of the Mysterious Treasure. Has that very powerful Grasping Draw attack where you can draw until you have 7 cards in your hand. Really a big fan of these baby Pokemon. They all have 30 HP, they all have free retreat, and they all have an attack for free. Cleffa's a really, really powerful option because it's your pivot and helps you draw cards in the early game. We also see the Natu is being eyed up. And that Natu does indeed evolve into the Xatu. The Xatu has that ability where you can accelerate a psychic energy from your hand into play. And if you do, you draw 2 cards. So very, very powerful ability there. And looking like that might just be it from Steve here as we go over to Matty now. Matty has opened on the Wurmple, and then the Wurmple evolves into that Beautifly, which allows you to draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. Kind of a super barrel, but it's on a stage 2. We see Hisuian Heavy Ball being played, allowing Matty to get the Turtwig out of the prize cards, and the Turtwig is one of the most important Pokemon in the deck, evolving into Grotle with that Sun-Drenched Shell ability. We then see Marnie being played, resetting the hand for both of these players. 5 for Matty, 4 for Steve. And then let's say taking a peek at the hand here, we see a lot of supporters. There's a Guzma Hala. I think I saw there's another supporter in there somewhere, but there are teammates. See teammates in the hand, Luxurious Cape, a Grass Energy, and I believe the card being played is a Net Ball. This is my favorite part of Gym Leader Challenge, are these really cool type-specific cards. Netball allows you to search for a Grass Pokemon or a Grass Energy and put it into your hand. Matty is a bit of a connoisseur of unique artworks. He likes playing with some Japanese cards that have artwork not available here in the States. So definitely seeing a unique art on that Netball. And trying to see what we're picking up here. And we see it is the Roselia. It looks like the Roselia evolves into that Roserade, which when you evolve into the Roserade, you get to search your deck for any card you want, put it into your hand. Really nice, allows you to grab that key supporter, that item card that you might need, maybe a rare candy, and or any other thing that you might need. So that's all we're going to see from Matty. Passing it back over to Steve. Now, Steve doesn't have any attacker set up here, but we see, wow, just big turn here. We see U-turn board coming down onto the Mew, giving it free retreat. We see the Wobbuffet being benched, and then we see a Peonia. The Peonia allows Steve to take 3 prize cards, put them into his hand, and then puts 3 cards from his hand back into his prize cards. This is really powerful. It allows him to get some key cards out of the prizes, but it also allows him to hide some cards in the prizes. He gets to put it back in whatever order he wants, so he is going to know what those bottom 3 prize cards are. So you could do something like hide a boss's orders there and then choose to take it when you're going down to 1 prize, meaning that you can then boss for game. So Really, really interesting card being played there. But we do just see a retreat into the Wobbuffet and a pass. The Wobbuffet kind of brutal here, because that is the Wobbuffet that, as long as it is in the active slot, your opponent's Pokemon in their hand, on their in play, and in the discard pile have no abilities. And as we know, most of Maddie's deck is based on abilities, so that is going to be a little difficult here. Guzmahala's coming down, discarding Luxurious Cape and a Grass Energy, and then we see a U-turn board, Turf Field Stadium, and we need a special energy. It's going to be the Capture Energy coming down here. There you go, Capture, Turf Field Stadium, U-turn board, putting all three of them in play. The Capture Energy, once it is attached, will allow Maddie to search his deck for any basic Pokemon, put it onto his bench. Really nice, setting up that Evo Press with the Torterra, while also helping him build his board. The U-turn board is going to allow that Wurmple to retreat into anything. Really seems like Maddie is going to be valuing the Beautifly to draw some cards here. And then C-Dot is getting grabbed off of the Capture Energy. And then the Turf Field Stadium is going to go for the Grotle, and then we're just going to see a pass here. Even if the Wurmple gets knocked out on this next turn, like let's say we see Rare Candy Tinkaton and some shenanigans here, it doesn't quite matter because that U-turn board will just return to Maddie's hand. We see that the Turf Field Stadium gets bumped for Parallel City. This is not going to be great because this grass deck really wants to have a big bench, and so Parallel City hurts that quite a bit. Although, back over on Steve's side, we just see Parallel City pass. So, really kind of waiting for the Wobbuffet to kind of do its job here, buying him some more turns. Unfortunately, that doesn't quite work, as we see Retreat plus Guzma bringing up the Tinkatink. That is going to kind of unlock Maddie's board here, as he gets to use Sundrent Shell to continue setting things into play. See, he's eyeing up the Chaotic Swell, skipping a step just a little bit here. Got to grab that Rose Raid first, which then allows him to search for any card in his deck. So, Chaotic Swell, really, really strong, because it does allow him to, allows him to not only bump the Parallel City, but then also stop Steve from playing any other stadiums. So, and taking a look at Steve's deck list, we see the only two stadiums he plays are the Parallel City and then Dimension Valley. Dimension Valley is one of the most powerful stadiums in the game, in my opinion, allowing the Psychic Pokemon's attack to cost one less. And that is not quite what we're going to, and that is, that's exactly what we're going to see. Rose Raid for Chaotic Swell, bumping that Parallel City. So now Maddie can further build his bench. And we see a Quick Ball. Discarding teammates. You never want to see teammates hitting the discard pile like that, but judging by the board state, it doesn't look like Steve is going to be taking a knockout anytime soon. So he's really valuing getting that Swaddle into play over just kind of holding on to the teammates and hoping it works out. Although, unfortunately, that is all the cards in Maddie's hand. He has no cards in play now. He does get to use Grotle to keep searching for things, so could get maybe the Stage 1 Silcoon to try to set up the Beautifly, or could just continue to set up other Pokemon as well. We see a Quick Ball coming down, grabbing the Cleffa for Steve. Again, already talked about how much I love these baby Pokemon, as both players are kind of empty-handed right now. We see with that attach for turn, Steve has no cards in his hand, and so the Grasping Draw will be huge here, but we actually don't even see the Grasping Draw. We just see that Steve's going to use the attack of the Tinkatink, Boundless Power for 40 damage, but can't attack on its next turn. So, seems like we're kind of valuing that just a little bit here. And unfortunately for Maddie, he just draws a Grass Energy, so nothing he can really do with it. Gonna slap it down onto the C-Dot. A retreat into the C-Dot. Oh, and I see the C-Dot does have that Call for Family attack. So not only do we then get to Sundrent Shell for an evolution, grabbing that Silcoon, but we get to Call for Family to then put the Buzzwole down onto the bench. The Buzzwole, very, very powerful support Pokemon and attacker in this deck, making it where Maddie's Pokemon will do 20 more damage for each prize card that Maddie has taken. So not only does that count for the Buzzwole itself, just the Buzzwole does some extra damage there. So really, really big for taking knockouts at the end of the game. And then back over to Steve, we just see a retreat and a grasping draw for 6. Really, really big there. Back over to Matty, he's going to get the Beautifly. And once again, so it seems like both players were kind of doing a lot of nothing, sitting there, just kind of hanging out. But now they both just have a full hand again. The grasping draw getting Steve a fresh 7, and then the Beautifly getting Matty a fresh 6. So that feels really, really nice. And then with this fresh hand, the world's kind of our oyster here. I see that there is a timer ball, which can help find some of these support Pokemon. Could maybe see the shift tree coming down here if we get lucky enough. And don't see what that was. And don't see what that one was. All right, we got a heads, and I don't know what the one that went off screen was, but I guess we're going to find out. Looks like it was a tails, and we're just going to evolve into the Swadloon. And we're aiming to set up the Leavanny, which has the Blanket Weaver ability, making it where grass Pokemon take 40 less damage, which is quite a bit here. We are just going to see a retreat into the Beautifly, and that's a little scary here. It does have the U-turn board, so it does have free retreat, and you do protect the C-Dot from an easy knockout here, but I'd be a little nervous of some rare candy shenanigans. We just saw Steve draw to a fresh hand of 7, and I would hate to see that Beautifly get knocked out. Would really put Matty on the back foot. There's a Buddy Buddy Poffin coming down, which gets the Inkay, which does evolve into the Malamar, and the Malamar has that Psychic Recharge ability, which can accelerate a Psychic Energy from the discard onto one of the benched Pokemon. You really see that as a very powerful effect in Gym Leader Challenge. Most decks that have that kind of ability in its type, you see them playing it. You see the Steel deck playing that, you see the Psychic deck playing that. Definitely a very, very powerful ability. And then taking a look at the hand here, it seems like we have a lot of options in supporter, in item. We do see the rare candies in play, so we could, in fact, see... Ooh, no, we're just going to see an in. Just forget about it. We don't have what we need in this hand. Let's try again. Both players will go to 6 cards. 6 cards here. And so, yeah, it seems like we're just looking for a combination of, like, either the Tinkatuff, maybe Rare Candy Tinkaton would be crazy. The Xatu would be a really nice pickup as well. Let's see, taking a look at the hand here, we see Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball would be really, really nice. We see the Guzmahala. Seems that that's one of the cards we're looking at discarding. Yep, Guzmahala, and I don't quite see what that other card is. I do know that it is a proxy, but looks like it's not going to matter too much. We do see the Xatu being the grab here. Makes a lot of sense. Helps us accelerate some energy into play, as well as being a draw engine. So, bang, we're going to see an acceleration onto... Could it be the Wobbuffet, maybe? The Wobbuffet does do damage based on the number of damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. So the Wobbuffet will be hitting for 50 damage if Steve is able to attach another energy to it. Then a draw 2 as well. Just a nice little bonus. You would play it for just the energy acceleration, but getting to draw 2 as well is phenomenal. We do see that Tulip is in the hand, one of the very powerful Psychic Recovery cards, putting 5 in any combination of Pokemon as well as energy back into the hand. So really great at being able to recover towards the end of the game. Mysterious Treasure is also in the hand. Sorry, not Mysterious Treasure. The Mystery... Oh, no, it's Horror Energy. My mistake, y'all. And then the Horror Energy, when the Pokemon that is attached to knocks out, puts 4 damage counters onto the opponent's Pokemon, which can be great at either A, cleaning up a Pokemon for a knockout, or B, prepping some damage onto a powerful Pokemon. We do know that the Torterra, nothing really knocks out the Torterra with its 190, but you put 4 damage counters on it, put it back down to 150, now it's in a much quicker range of getting knocked out. We see the evolution into the Leavanny, which makes it where the grass Pokemon take 40 less damage, and bang, big Torterra coming down. That Evo Press attack is going to obviously do more than enough damage to knock out this Cleffa, but it can knock out most things in play here. And that's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see This Cleffa getting knocked out, the Mew getting put up. Mew ain't really doing much in this matchup, but it does hold a U-turn board very well, so it just kind of gets to be the pivot now that the Cleffa is knocked out. Taking a look at the hand here, we do see Versus Seeker, so seems like Steve is going to be thinking about Versus Seekering up this Teammates to then search for any 2 cards. The evolution into the Malamar, really important here, allowing Steve to accelerate those energies into play. So we could see maybe, no, going for the level ball first. He's going to take a little peek around inside the deck. Could get another evolving basic Pokemon here. Maybe something like a Routes, maybe. Or could grab something like the Mimikyu, which has that copycat attack that can copy the attack on the opponent's, or the attack that the opponent used last turn. So getting to copy the Evo Press, not as impactful here, but there are several evolving Pokemon in the deck, so could come up. We see the Routes getting grabbed here. I have a feeling that Curlia is the grab here. I have a feeling that Routes is in the prize cards, so not awesome there. But we do indeed see Versus Seeker for Teammates. That is going to grab Rare Candy plus Tinkaton. So bang, big Tinkaton coming down. That Gather Materials ability is so strong, discarding a card to draw 3. And we already see a special energy prepped onto it. So an attach for turn or maybe a Xatu acceleration means that this Tinkaton is going to be dealing a Tinkaton of damage, a big 180, which is not enough to knock out the Torterra, but an Evo Press back would then trigger the Horror Energy, which would knock out the Torterra. So really, really kind of excellent usage of energy here, allowing this Torterra to really be pressured when normally the Torterra gets to attack twice before it gets knocked out. That's kind of the benefit of that huge 190 HP threshold. We see that the Gather Materials was used discarding Ball Guy to draw 3, and that Psychic Recharge is going to accelerate an energy, probably I would imagine onto the Tinkaton, but you could maybe put it on the Wobbuffet here. Wobbuffet's also, that is what we're going to see over onto the Wobbuffet. I think maybe the idea here is retreating into the Wobbuffet, shutting off all those abilities, and then you get to put the 10 damage onto the Torterra, so on your next turn, the Tinkaton gets to take a knockout there. Thought that we were passing here. Were we passing? Were we attacking? What are we doing here? Okay, sorry, a little bit of confusion there. Yep, we are indeed attacking, dealing 10 damage to the Torterra. So, yeah, unless Matty is able to find the one Guzma that he has in his deck, he's just going to have to take a knockout on the Wobbuffet, which then means that Tinkaton gets to take a big knockout here. And what's great about doing it in this order, we could have just gone into the Tinkaton, put 180 on it, and then when the Tinkaton gets knocked out, we'd knock out the Torterra. But by doing it this way, Steve gets access to the Gather Materials ability for a whole nother turn cycle, meaning that he gets to continue to build his hand, maybe even recover from a hand attack, something like a Marnie or an In, right? And so that feels really, really good. And you get to shut off all the abilities of the opponent with the Wobbuffet, so feels really, really good. We see Cynthia Caitlin come down, which gets the Guzma back into the hand and draws 3 cards. And then we're just going to see big Evo Press for a knockout here. Maddie is at 4 prize cards, while Steve is still at 6. But I wouldn't count Steve out of the game just yet. Now that this Tinkaton is set up, I think that the game is going to be swinging a whole different direction. We see the Necrozma coming down here. This is a nice little synergy that Steve's deck has. The Necrozma has the special laser attack, which does 100 damage, but if there's a special energy attached, it does 60 more damage. So we see that within Steve's deck, he's playing, roughly 4 special energy cards here, which is great because both the Tinkaton and the Necrozma care about special energy. So you get to kind of do double duty there and take some big knockouts with these Pokemon. I think we're seeing the Tulip about to come down here. Maybe. We're going to see here. Thinking about it, I do see all those Pokemon and energy taken to the top of the discard pile, but it doesn't look like we're doing that just yet. Instead, we're going to see a retreat into the Tinkaton, and maybe we just see a knockout here. Let's see. We are thinking on what supporter. We do have the that's not a boss's orders. That is Lysander, which is just a boss's orders, but that was before they kind of codified the boss's orders effect. You may remember that before there was Professor's Research, we had a bunch of different Professor cards, Professor Juniper and the like. We are going to see an Evolution Incense come down, grabbing the Gallade out of the deck. So we do know that Steve has both Kirlia and Gallade in his hand here. So once that Routes gets out of the prizes, we will be cooking. Interesting. Going to play the Lysander here. Instead of taking out the Torterra, instead he's looking to take out the... oh, that's right. The Levani does indeed reduce the damage. I totally missed that. And so, unable to knock out the Torterra there, I totally just brushed over it. So pulling up the Beautifly, or knocking out the Levani, so that way, maybe on a future turn, we can knock out the Torterra. But not looking great. We see the Revitalizer coming down. Another excellent piece of grass support, picking up the Suwaddle and the Levani. So it looks like that might be where our rare candy is going. So this game is looking a lot different from Maddie's last game. Maddie, instead of going the item control route, not really setting up the Vileplume, instead just kind of going for more of a traditional evolution beatdown strategy, right? Just putting up this Torterra, taking big knockouts over and over and over again, using things like the Buzzwole as well. So see, the Gladion might be the supporter for turn. Gladion kind of functions like a bit of a Hisuian Heavy Ball. Get to grab any card out of the prizes and replace it with the Gladion. Then you shuffle those prizes up. So getting to get the card that he wants, he's grabbing the Clara, which will help him recover some other Pokemon here. So going to see a retreat into the Torterra, and then once again a big Evo press for knockout. Going down to 3 prizes. We are at 3-5. And we see the Horror Energy is going to proc there, putting some damage counters onto the Torterra. Double Tails off of the Timer Ball. One of my favorite cards. Just lets you roll 2 dice. Then we're going to see that Clairvoyant Sense coming down from the Natu, accelerating an energy onto the Necrozma, followed up by an attach for turn of the Reversal Energy. Would have liked to see the Reversal Energy on maybe the Tinkaton or another evolving Pokemon. Reversal Energy is one of my favorite cards to put on the Gallade if you can never make the Gallade attack. But it does just do the job of being a special energy that is attached to the Necrozma, still providing that colorless energy. So Special Laser is online right now, which is going to be enough to knock out this Torterra. The 10 from the Wobbuffet plus the 20 from the Horror Energy makes it where once we retreat and attack, 160, that is 190, taking a big knockout here. So really, really working out for Steve that he gets to take the knockouts like that. Big retreat coming down, and then now we see the Tulip getting played, which will allow Steve to pick up 5 in any combination of Pokemon and energy cards back into his hand. We see that the current is going to be 2 Psychic plus Tink plus Tinkaton, so trying to set up that ever so important attacker again. And instead of the Wobbuffet, we are just going to see a 3rd Psychic Energy getting grabbed here. Or no, sorry, that was off of the Malamar. We're putting we're accelerating energy with the Malamar, just getting the 4, not the 5. And then we will see Special Laser for knockout, putting Steve down to 4 prize cards. And if you look at the way he's taking his prizes, he's purposefully going for the 3 random prizes that he has. We do know from that Peonia that he knows what those bottom 3 prize cards are. And it seems like at this point in the game, he would just rather take those random cards. I wonder what he has hidden in those bottom 3. Again, could be looking for some important cards that he wants to play at the end of the game. Back over here for Maddie. The Buzzwole is all set up, ready to attack, though. Currently, Maddie has taken 3 prize cards, so it will do 60 more damage. That is 120. And then we see Guzma pulling up that Tinkatink. He says, ain't no way. I do not want you getting that Tinkaton set up. and then Rare Candy into Leavanny. So once again, those grass Pokemon are taking 40 less damage. And then we're going to see a big touchdown for Knockout. Back over here on Steve's side, Mew is getting pushed up. Again, kind of just filling the role of the pivot Pokemon for the game here. It is interesting. We do still have access to the special laser on Necrozma. So getting to do 130, even though Maddie has the damage reduction of the Leavanny, it does put 10 damage off. I forgot that it is indeed minus 40, not minus 30. That's a huge difference for exactly right now, because minus 30 would have been 130 off of the Necrozma, still good enough for a knockout, but right now it is not. It is 10 short, and so gonna have to think of something else. We do see Guzma is in the hand there, so doesn't matter too much. Steve can pull up maybe like Roserade, could pull up the Nuzleaf, maybe even the Oddish, as we see that Maddie is slowly working towards the Vileplume. Really are just a lot of options here. Unfortunately, the Leavanny is just kind of a little bit out of reach as well. Or no, it is not out of reach. 160 minus 40 would be 120. So we could just see another Guzma knock out this Leavanny, which probably could be the play here. Ooh, Fog Crystal getting grabbed off of that Xatu draw. Getting the Mewtwo. Mewtwo is another very powerful basic attacker in this deck. With its limit break attack, it does 90, but the opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards, does 90 more damage. So 180, even with that minus 40, is 140, which is enough to knock out most things. So we're going to see an acceleration, Field Blower getting rid of the U-turn board and the Chaotic Swell. And then we get to see he's choosing to leave the U-turn board, knowing that it goes back to the hand. Would rather leave it on the Beautifly than giving Maddie the ability to move it around somewhere else. Dimension Valley is an excellent stadium here, and we're going to see its power in full force. We were able to set up this Mewtwo all in one turn, right? A Malamar plus an Attach for turn, plus Dimension Valley, allows us to limit break for 180, minus 40, down to 140, still enough to knock out this Buzzwole. Back over on Maddie's side, we do see the Beautifly coming up here. You know, Maddie has a lot of his support Pokemon set up. The Beautifly, the Leavanny, the Shift Tree could be coming down here in a minute as well. Ooh, Tag Call, searching for 2 tag team cards, putting it into the hand. We see in Gym Leader Challenge, a lot of times the Tag Call is used for Guzma as well as Cynthia and Caitlyn. We do see that within Maddie's deck, he is playing Guzma, Cynthia, and Caitlyn, as well as Mallow and Lana to switch those Pokemon around. Again, Guzma, just a really important supporter in the early game, and so you kind of play some other tag teams to support it there. We see the Oddish is evolving into the Gloom, and the Gloom has that semi-blooming energy ability, so when you evolve it, you look at the top 3, can put any number of basic energies you find there onto your Pokemon. So again, that's something that I really like trying to do, is making it where if the stage 1 in your stage 2 line does something, like that feels really, really good. We see that a lot with like the Kirlia in the Psychic deck. We see it here with the Gloom. The Grotle is another one of those as well. Just kind of making it where even if you're evolving into the stage 1, it doesn't feel so bad. As opposed to something like that Tinkatink, where it evolves into Tinkatuff, and there isn't a Tinkatuff that really does anything right now. So like that one feels bad to go into the stage 1, but these ones feels kind of fine, you know? And then we see an Ino resetting the player's hands, and fortunately for Maddie here, he still has the Beautifly, so drawing to 2. Who cares? I'm actually drawing a 6. I get a fresh hand here. But when we look over at Steve, doesn't quite have that. Does have the not to, which can draw extra cards, but nothing like that. Nothing with quite that much draw ability here. We do see an evolution into the Shift Tree. So as of now, all of Steve's supporters just say draw 3 cards. We see a Floatstone coming down onto the Gloom, a Pot Helmet being put onto the Shift Tree, and then that Shift Tree is going to attack for 110, and can force a switch as well, but it doesn't look like Maddie is going to force a switch off of the opponent. Town Map is going to flip those cards face up, and we see what cards were hidden in there. We see Routes, Mimikyu, and the Counter Energy. So, seems like we're not really going to have access to the Gallade this game, but grabbing Counter Energy at the end of the game could prove to be very, very impactful, as well as getting the Mimikyu as well. So even though Maddie was not able to take a knockout with the shift tree, just put 110 on that Mewtwo, the Mewtwo isn't going to be able to take a knockout back because now it is dealing minus 70 damage. So even though it deals that 180, only going to put 110 on the shift tree. And this could be what Maddie needs to kind of turn the corner and close out this game. If he can just keep taking knockouts, he's probably going to win the game here. And trying to go for a Marnie here to reset Maddie's hand, but that is not what that card does anymore. That card draws 3. And so we're going to see Marnie comes down with the very powerful ability of drawing 3 cards. And then, oof, this doesn't feel good. We're going to see a retreat into the Necrozma. And then we're just going to punch. Just going to punch here. So the good news is, by doing this, Steve has kind of denied Maddie the prize card here. Maddie's plan was to go punch the Mewtwo again to take a prize card. But now, with this Necrozma pushed up, Maddie is not going to be able to do that. He's just going to have to punch into this Necrozma, which then gives which gives Steve more time to kind of fight his way back into the game here. Because if Maddie can just keep the pressure up, keep taking knockouts, he's going to win the game. He's already ahead. But if Steve is able to slow him down, he could come back into the game. Steve's Pokemon hit a lot harder than Maddie's do. We see the Artisan coming down. Both players are very low in deck size. We see roughly less than 10 cards in each player's deck. So this game is going to come to a conclusion sooner rather than later. For Maddie's side here, we are going to use the Artisan. Just going to take a little peek at the deck here. Probably not a lot going on in there, if I would imagine. It's probably mostly supporter cards. We do see in Maddie's hand he has the Getsis. Big fan of the Getsis here. Allows you to look at your opponent's hand and shuffle all item cards you find back into the deck. Your opponent does get to draw for each card that you shuffle back, but a lot of times that can just shut off a key part of the deck, right? If they have, say, a rare candy in their hand, they have a Pokemon recovery card, you can just say, no, and I don't care what you draw, it's not going to be as good as what I shuffled back. Instead, we are going to see the Lusamine, allowing Maddie to get back any supporter or stadium card back into the hand. We're going to see the Guzma getting picked up again, even though we only have the one boss effect with Cynthia and Caitlyn as well as Lusamine, Maddie is able to kind of just get the Guzma and play it 3 times per game. And with this fun little loop of Lusamine for Guzma and Cynthia and Caitlyn, then Maddie can Guzma, and then on the next turn, he can either pick up the Lusamine or just pick up the Guzma again. And in this case, might just pick up the Guzma again. And so we're going to see 110 coming down onto the Necrozma. Going to force a switch. And unfortunately, that is exactly what Maddie wanted, or what Steve wanted. We see the Tinkaton plus attach for turn, and then getting to gather materials for more cards, and then bang, big knockout. And we see that the pace of the game is getting picked up just a little bit here. Maddie has to take a knockout this turn and the next turn. If he misses, there are 3 attackers that Steve currently has access to, and those attackers are going to be taking knockouts here. So it is now officially crunch time. You need to be taking knockouts, and you need to be doing it every single turn. Gonna bench the Buzzwole, attach for turn, free retreat into the Buzzwole, evolving up probably into that Vileplume, I would imagine, but not able to attack with the Buzzwole this turn. Almost wonder if it would have made a little more sense here to maybe go for the Guzma to pull up one of those damaged Pokemon and take a knockout. Instead, just going to pass, and that doesn't feel good. The Tinkaton does get to take a knockout on this Buzzwole, and then, Steve does get to kind of set up more things here. I do understand that the Beautifly is a very, very important piece of support here, but I almost wonder if we should have just taken a knockout on that turn, because now it's looking like Steve just gets to win the game. He took a big knockout. Even if you knock out this Tinkaton, he gets to attack with the Necrozma, gets to attack with Mewtwo, and if you boss KO one of those, the Tinkaton gets to come back up and hit you for game. So not looking good here for Maddie's side of things. But, there might be some way out here. In is going to be a big way to do that. Just kind of reset the deck. As we saw, there were no cards in Maddie's deck. So getting to put some cards back in the deck going to be pretty important. But we are just going to see another draw up to 6, just making sure you have enough cards in your hand to do what you want to do. And it's just kind of in a tough spot here. I think the best play here is to maybe pull up that Malamar, and try to stall him out of the game. But with that Mew, you can't even take damages on the bench, and so instead of just going to see a pass, Tinkaton is going to take that final knockout, and Steve is remaining undefeated in the Comeback Mechanics tournament, taking his second victory with a Tinkaton Psychic deck. Thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope you have enjoyed all of the extra videos that we have been able to provide for you over this month. If you appreciate that, I would really appreciate if you liked the video, commented on it, letting me know what you think, and of course, subscribing to the channel so you can see our January 2025 tournament, which will be coming to you very, very soon. And with that, my name is Cody, signing off.